Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today I am so excited because I've managed to get my hands on the new Charlotte Tilbury Holiday 2023 collection. So before we get into it, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy. Let's get into it. Alright, so pardon my voice. I am just getting over a bit of a cold, but I think I'll be okay for this video. So we do have an eyeshadow palette and a cheek duo. I did see some different photos floating around online. I'm not sure if there is going to be another piece to this collection, like another palette. If there is, I will grab it when it's available, but for now, this is what we have. So we have the Hollywood Blush and Glow Cheek Duo, and we have the Beautyverse palette, which is a beautifying filter for your eyes. That sounds great. So let's talk about the cheek palette first. So this is the Hollywood Blush and Glow Duo, much like her Film Star Bronze and Glow. This is the mini size, so it is quite tiny. I have mine in fair medium. She also has a medium to deep. This retails for 43 Canadian dollars, so I think that translates to about 32 US. So definitely very steep, especially when you look at the actual size of the product. So this is the size. So for comparison, this is what it looks like. So it just fits in the palm of my hand. So very, very tiny. Opening it up though, you do get a blush and a highlight. So the highlight is definitely different than what is in her Film Star Bronze and Glow. And the blush looks absolutely stunning, I have to say. This blush shade just makes my heart happy. And it feels incredibly creamy and buttery. It is just a powder blush, but it feels very creamy and very buttery. The highlight also feels very, very smooth. So let's see here. So we have the blush. That's beautiful. And we have the highlights. The highlight definitely has a rosy undertone to it. That looks stunning. So let's try on the cheek duo and then we will get into the eyeshadow palette. So the blush is actually quite powdery. There was quite a bit of kick up in the pan. This is a very, very pinky blush, but it's beautiful. I really do like that shade. I am over applying it just a little bit so that you can see it on camera, but I do think that's really, really beautiful. Okay, going in on this side. I'm not sure if this little cheek duo is going to be part of their permanent collection, but I know the eyeshadow palette is limited edition. All right, so I did go a little heavy on the blush, but I just really, really wanted you to see it. I do think that shade is beautiful. Let's go into the highlight. Yeah, that's really pretty. It actually seems almost a little bit deeper than I would typically go, but because it has that rosy undertone, it blends into the blush really well. Yeah, that definitely works beautifully with the blush. Just gonna go in and do a little bit more of that. I think I will really enjoy this little duo, and I think I forgot to mention this does have a 24-month shelf life and is made in Italy. So the formula is great, the packaging is beautiful. Again, very expensive, especially for the size that it is. But the products look very beautiful on my skin. I feel like they look very flawless in my opinion. They almost look airbrushed, which I love. Okay, let's get into the eyeshadow palette. Next, we have the Beautyverse palette, which is a beautifying filter for your eyes. This also has a 12-month shelf life and is made in Italy. This retails for 95 Canadian dollars. That equals 75 US. And this palette is the exact same size as her face palettes. So let's look at the inner packaging. This is absolutely stunning. We have an ombre effect in glitter. Those are two of my favorite things in the whole world. So I am absolutely loving this packaging. This might be some of my favorite packaging she's ever done. And inside we have 9 eyeshadows, and it looks like you actually get quite a bit of product in each one. I've never seen one of her eyeshadow palettes in this format. Typically when she does have eyeshadow palettes, they either are the quads or they're in this format. We haven't seen this format in about 2 years. But initially when I saw photos online, they were low quality photos, but I only saw it with the packaging open. And initially just seeing it, I kind of thought a revolution for a sec. But then, now that I'm seeing it in person, and I'm seeing this gorgeous outer packaging. It definitely doesn't, but that was my first impression. So you end up with 4 mattes here, and then you get these beautiful, beautiful shimmers. We are going to look at swatches in a moment, but the first thing that I'm wondering is if these shimmer formulas, because they don't look like what's in this palette, the shimmers look like the formula that is in her Hypnotizing Pop Shots from last holiday. So let's get into looking at some swatches. So the first 3 swatches are her mattes, and they feel so, so creamy. The first one is Virtual Taupe, which is a future matte. Then we have Supernova Suede, which is also a future matte, and Space Chocolate, which is a future matte. I'm almost wondering if she's revamped her eyeshadow formula completely, and that's why we're getting this 6-pan. Then we have Cosmic Pink, which is also a future matte. These are swatching very, very well. They feel very creamy. So getting into the shimmers, the first one is Cyber Silver, and this is a Crystal Glow. Do you see that? Look at that. Then we have Beautyverse, which is a party topper. So it is very, very light. Then we have Planet Pink, which is a Crystal Glow. Beautiful. The last 2 shades are also in the Crystal Glow formula. We have Digital Lilac, gorgeous, and then we have Golden Galaxy. Super, super beautiful. Wearing color, I feel most comfortable going with Charlotte Tilbury because she just does something special with her formulas. She just somehow makes the tones and everything just so super wearable. And that's exactly how I'm feeling about this right now. And to answer my initial question as to whether I think the shimmers are the same as in her Hypnotizing Pop Shots, I do think there is some crossover there. I think they're a similar formula. I don't think it's an identical formula, but it's way more similar to the Hypnotizing Pop Shots than the shimmers that we have in these palettes or her quads. There's just something creamier and more reflective about the shimmers. I find in the past her shimmers, while very beautiful, very sparkly, have often been a little bit more on the dry side, whereas I do not think these have any dryness to them. Okay, I can't make up my mind what I want to do, so I'm just going to do 2 different looks. So first off, let's start with Cosmic Pink. It's this one right here. There's really not a lot of kick up with the mattes. So on this side, giving such a soft wash of color. I'm gonna see if I can build that up on the outer corner just a little bit. All right, so I was able to get a little bit of depth, not much, but I am gonna take the shade Planet Pink on a finger, and I'm going to put this one on the, oh, that's really, really pretty. That's beautiful. That definitely has the same sort of shine that the Hypnotizing Pop Shots do, I will say. And this is definitely on, in my opinion, the brighter side of Charlotte Tilbury shades. I almost feel like this palette is her experimenting a little more and stepping outside the comfort zone with color a little bit. That could just be me, but this palette definitely feels like trying something new and making it exciting, in my opinion. I'm just gonna blend those edges a little bit. And then I'm gonna take Digital Lilac, and I'm gonna use this one on the inner corner. And then just sort of, oh, that's beautiful. Blend up and bring them together. Well, they end up looking pretty similar, but that's okay. Okay, so the 2 shades really just ended up sort of meshing into each other and kind of looks just like one color, which I don't love, but at the same time, I guess it does make it look seamless. I got a little bit of fallout, but really not much, definitely less than I was expecting. And I'm kind of thinking though I should have taken that pink all over the lid, the pink matte. I do think I should have put that one all over the lid because I do feel like these have a bit more of a sheer base. So I just wanted to mention that. Let me pop on some mascara and then I'll come back and we're gonna play with, of course, the browns. I also want to play with the silver, but I might have to do that another day. So I'll be right back to do the other eye. All right, so here is the finished look number 1. Again, I do wish I had just taken the matte all over to give the shimmers a bit more of a base, because they do seem almost on the sheer side, but at the same time incredibly sparkly and reflective. I do have 2 different shimmers on there and it all looks like the same shade to me. That could just be my lighting, but to me it all looks the same. However, this very sort of sheer wash of color and shimmer seems very on trend at the moment, so I'm not knocking it. Let's get into the other eye. We're going to try and get a little bit more depth and dimension. I'm going to start with Virtual Taupe, which is this one right here. These mattes are incredibly creamy. It almost reminds me if you picked up the 5 pans from Pat McGrath last holiday, how some of the mattes in hers were almost like a cream to powder. That's what this reminds me of. Maybe even a little bit like the cream to powder in the Natasha Denona formula. The pink was definitely more of just a regular matte, whereas I feel like the Satin Taupe shade is more of that cream to powder. The way it's building and blending is absolutely acting like a cream to powder, and I'm loving it. That blended out beautifully. I'm gonna go into Supernova Suede now for that outer corner. And again, this one is also very much feeling like a cream to powder. Again, I feel like these blended together so seamlessly. It was no work at all blending them on there. Then I'm going to take this last one, this Space Chocolate, on the same brush. And again, just taking a little bit just to further deepen that outer corner. I'm just curious how much depth we can get out of this side. And this is another one, very much feel like cream to powder. I feel like the pink shade is really the only one that's a bit more like a classic matte. Yeah, that also just blended so seamlessly. I feel like I would be hard pressed to find some matte shadows that blended that easily. Okay, I'm gonna grab Golden Galaxy now, which is one of the Crystal Glow. It feels a little bit dry, but then looking at how beautiful and reflective it is, that's beautiful. That's, yeah, that's stunning. That's a shade I'm absolutely going to be using frequently. Okay, that's absolutely beautiful. Even that shimmer blended with the mattes very well. It just looks so seamless over there. I absolutely love that. I'm just gonna dust away the fallout. I did get a little bit more fallout on the side, but it was kind of worth it. Then I'm just gonna grab a little bit of Beautyverse, which is the topper shade in the palette. And I'm just gonna pack a little bit of this on the inner corner to see. Oh wow, okay, look at that sparkle. Okay, so I was all excited about the pinks and purples in here, but what really got me was the browns and golds. Love that. Okay. All right, let me pop off camera. I will pop on some mascara and I'll come back to discuss my final thoughts on the palette. All right, so here is the finished look number 2. And of course, I love number 2. So let's talk about these again quickly. We played with every single shade in this palette except for that silver, which I probably could have incorporated over here somewhere, but I so far really love this palette. So the first look is not my favorite. I was kind of disappointed how the 2 shimmers ended up blending together and looking more like one shade than 2. But overall, I think it's pretty. I do want to try them again over top of this as an all over the lid shade, and then I might want to try it with the silver as well. I think these 4 are going to make a really beautiful combination. These 3 mattes feel much more like a cream to powder, and they blended together so well, so easily. They took so much of the work out of blending. This look was so super quick. So I really love these 3. Is this going to be the deepest palette? No, because this is the deepest shade, and although it is like a deeper chocolate brown, it's definitely not going to be deep enough for everybody. These 2 shimmers here are stunning. This is a beautiful topper. This is incredibly sparkly, and this rose gold here is also really beautiful. I loved it so much when I put it all over the lid. I do think these are a different formula than her typical eyeshadow formula. I think this matte formula, the pink shade, is similar to what is in her eyeshadow quads. These I don't recall seeing from Charlotte Tilbury before, because I would remember that more cream to powder type formula. The shimmers, again, I think they're a bit closer to the formula from her Hypnotizing Pop Shots, which I'm really excited about. I love to see that. The Hypnotizing Pop Shots had a bunch of different formulas. Some of them were very, very textured, and some of them were very smooth. But I feel like the formula in here is much more comparable to that than the formula in her older eyeshadow palettes. So do with that what you will, but if you love the Hypnotizing Pop Shot formula, I think you would really, really enjoy this palette. The mattes are absolutely phenomenal, and the shimmers are stunning. Again, I do want to play with these a little bit more just to get to know them a little bit better. The browns, though, she did not miss. And the packaging of this is absolutely gorgeous. And like I mentioned, the palette is the exact same size as some of her other face palettes. This is her Pillow Talk face palette, so exact same size. I should also mention that aside from her Hypnotizing Pop Shots, I really don't have these types of shades from Charlotte. So for me, this definitely adds to my Charlotte Tilbury collection. To my collection overall, maybe not, but I don't have anything that looks exactly like this, and so far I really, really love it. And I think the formula is phenomenal, and the color story is a little more unique. Could I pull something like this together out of my collection? Yeah, probably, but I don't have any palettes that look a lot like this, so that's how I'll justify it. And for Charlotte Tilbury, it is a little bit more on the unique, a little bit more fun side than we've seen from her in the past. With respect to the Hollywood Blush and Glow Duo, I think this is very pretty as well. I think the blush color is stunning. The highlight, I love the way it's got sort of that rosy undertone so that it sort of blends into the blush really, really well, and they very much complement each other. What I don't like is that it's a mini and it's like $40 for this teeny tiny little thing. I do think this is overpriced. I think it's beautiful, but I think it's overpriced. In fairness, they're both overpriced. They're both ridiculously expensive if you can get them on a sale. I'm not sure if these are coming to Sephora. I hope so. And if so, then I would wait for the Sephora sale because she doesn't really have a lot of sales on her website. If you're deciding between the two, I think the eyeshadow palette is way more worth it than this. This is really cute. This is really pretty. The shades are stunning. I'm definitely going to get a lot of use out of it. This is the one that I think is a little bit more worthwhile. I know it's a lot more expensive. First of all, the packaging is stunning. Then you get 9 eyeshadows. The formula is amazing. I think she did such a wonderful job, and again, it's a lot more fun for Charlotte Tilbury while also being a lot more wearable for those of us who like to stick to our neutrals but might want to branch out a little bit. So I think this one between the two is the more worthwhile. But that is it for me today. Let me know down below what you think of this collection. Let me know if you have any questions maybe I didn't answer. I didn't really do comparisons. Again, I just really don't have any palettes that are exactly like this in my collection. But like I said, if you have questions, please do leave them down below. I will be happy to answer them. And then I will let you know in my community tab when this is available. But that is it for me today. Thank you so very much for watching. If you're new here, I hope you will consider subscribing before you go. I do upload at least 3 new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!